Coming up on Yao on Sports, the NFL's final four teams are set. The 49ers, Rams, Bengals, and Chiefs are all moving on to championship weekend. But first, the game of a lifetime in Kansas City between the Chiefs and the Bills. Plus, Brady is going home. Is he officially done winning Super Bowls? And Aaron Rodgers, another year, another disappointing end to the season. What should be his next move? And the final word that you do not want to miss, it is the biggest edition of Yao on Sports yet. Let's go. Welcome into Yao on Sports. I'm Yao Bonsu. It was the best weekend in NFL history, hands down. All four games came down to the final snap, and we begin in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, you will not see better quarterback play than what you saw yesterday night. Both quarterbacks put on an absolute masterclass of a performance, and it was Patrick Mahomes coming out on top, 42-36 the final in overtime. Down the stretch, over 20 points combined in just the final 2 minutes of regulation. You cannot make this up. This was the greatest game in NFL history. I do not want to hear about the overtime rules. It is fine as is. I do not want to hear that Josh Allen should have got the ball too, because part of football is making a stop, and the bottom line is Buffalo's defense did not do that. A shootout, a clinic, whatever you want to say to describe this game, this was it. Just take a look at these numbers. Patrick Mahomes, 447 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Josh Allen had nearly 400 yards himself. And what about the receivers? Tyreek Hill did what he was built to do, a $150, but Gabe Davis, the only receiver in NFL history with 4 touchdowns in one playoff game. That along with 201 yards. Simply unreal stuff. So what does this game show us? It shows us that Patrick Mahomes is him. Patrick Mahomes is one of one. Patrick Mahomes will take the torch from Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes is simply in a class of his own. To have 13 seconds before overtime to tie the game, and to end up doing that in only 3 plays, shows just how great and just how much of a clutch performer Patrick Mahomes really is. And yes, the Bills had their chances too throughout the game, but honestly, what more could Josh Allen do? This game was 2 evenly matched teams going at it till they couldn't no more, and the reason they didn't is because of the overtime rules. But that's not to say there's nothing wrong with the overtime rules. It is simply the truth. But Patrick Mahomes is next up as far as when Tom Brady retires. The same way Brady ran the AFC with the Pats, Mahomes would do the same. And we are already living proof. Kansas City advances to its 4th AFC title game in a row, the first team to ever host it 4 years in a row. And for Pat Mahomes, he gets to write just a little bit more history for himself. And simply put, this game was the best game in NFL history. I'm sorry to Bills fans, but when the NFL's top-ranked defense had to get a stop, they couldn't do it when it mattered most. And in the great words of Andy Reid in the final 13 seconds of regulation, when it is time to be grim, be the Grim Reaper. And that is exactly who Patrick Mahomes was. But if you're a fan of an AFC team, you need to look under center and ask yourself, do I have a quarterback that can hang with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen? Because if not, your team will never make it to the Super Bowl. It is just that simple. The greatest thing about this weekend, it was only one of 4 blockbuster games, and we head down to Tampa Bay. The repeat bid came to an halting end after the Bucs fell to the Rams 30-27, and what I thought was the game of the year, of course, before Buffalo and Kansas City ended. LA led 27-3 in the second half. It was so dominant that even I had people texting me that Brady was done. The Rams are sending Brady into retirement. This is straight up embarrassing. Well, guess what? The game was not done, especially with Tom Brady at quarterback. The Buccaneers came clawing back thanks to 3 Rams turnovers, culminating in a 9-yard touchdown run by Leonard Fournette. But before fans could even catch their breath, the Rams saved themselves from a massive collapse. A 5-play, 63-yard drive included a 44-yard dime from Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp to set up the Rams in a winning position. Then, with all the pressure in the world, Matt Gay delivers on a 30-yard field goal to send the Rams to the NFC Championship game. What more can you say after that? You can't say Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time because, well, we already knew that. But for a team that was missing 2 of its top 3 receivers and its all-pro offensive linemen, what a fight the Bucs put on. Von Miller is clearly still an elite pass rusher. Aaron Donald, probably the top player in the NFL. And Odell Beckham Jr., of course his dad was right the whole time. But the bottom line is Brady lost. And the question is, will Brady retire? Better yet, is Tom Brady done winning Super Bowls? The answer to both of those questions, at least to me, is a no. But here's what Brady had to say about his future.
How you will contemplate whether you'll come back or not?
I haven't put a lot of thought into it, so we'll just take it day by day and see where we're at.
The Bucs have a lot of decisions to make this offseason. Look at all of the key players that are unrestricted free agents in the offseason. Godwin, Jensen, Jones, Gronk. Corner pieces of this franchise, and of course because of the salary cap and all of those other financial implications, you can't bring back all 22. And you could assume that that will have a part in Brady's decision to retire. But honestly, Brady is used to having elite rosters around him so much, and I believe that will be the case next year, and that he won't retire because he is that type of competitor. But he is not the only quarterback with a questionable future, and that is where we head next. Aaron Rodgers fails to deliver in the playoffs yet again. The 49ers took down the Packers 13-10 after a game-winning field goal by Robbie Gould. Once again, San Francisco won without Jimmy Garoppolo doing much. And honestly, he had a pretty bad game. But of course, you have Deebo Samuel, who got it done both on the ground and through the air yet again. And for Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers did not have his best performance, but he also did not have his worst. 225 yards, but honestly, I feel like he could have got more out of himself. Aaron Jones was used heavily in this one, even ended up being the leading receiver for the team, but Devontae Adams still had himself a 90-yard day. Overall, though, the Packers dropped the ball, and it was the 49ers defensive line that constantly got pressure on Rodgers and truly won this game for San Francisco. But the focus now is on Aaron Rodgers. And let me tell you, if we praise Tom Brady for winning all of these Super Bowls, we can criticize other QBs for not at least winning more than one. So what is the future of Aaron Rodgers? Here's what he had to say.
I did not think we'd be talking about this after this game, but
Right.
I'm going to take some time and have conversations with the folks around here, and then take some time away and make a decision, obviously before free agency or anything kind of gets going on that front. But, it's fresh right now. It's a little shocking for sure. Definitely haven't, was hoping to have, nice week after the NFC Championship to enjoy the lead up and then start contemplating some things. So I haven't even let the moment really sink in yet.
Aaron Rodgers should have been the Tom Brady of the NFC. And I don't really mean winning 7 rings, but I mean being an overwhelming dominant force in the conference. But after his first Super Bowl in 2010, the Packers are 0-4 in NFC title games. And plus, remember when Rodgers said that the 49ers would regret not drafting him? Well, he is also 0-4 versus the Niners all-time in the postseason. So what is next for Aaron Rodgers? I personally says he stays in Green Bay. I know the Denver rumors are out there, but let's be honest here. The Packers have the undoubtedly best roster in the National Football League. There is nowhere Aaron Rodgers can go that would be a better situation than what he has right now in Green Bay. Lack of postseason success? Absolutely. But 3 straight 13-3 seasons should tell you that the Packers are one of, if not the best team in the NFL on a year-to-year basis. But Aaron Rodgers is a choke, and it is less about comparing him to Brady and more about you haven't been to another Super Bowl since the 2010-2011 season. To have the type of team that you have, for you to be the type of elite quarterback that you are, so elite that you'll probably be the back-to-back MVP, you failed. You dropped the ball. You fumbled the bag. But despite all of that, Aaron Rodgers, to me, is the third best quarterback of all time. But this cannot go on. He choked. He choked. Once again, if we praise Brady for winning, we can criticize other quarterbacks like we have Matthew Stafford and like we have Drew Brees for losing or for not winning big games. But finally, the Bengals and Titans. Two teams that really played the worst game of the weekend, yet was still a phenomenal game. Look, I did not expect Cincy to win this game. It was 19-16 after yet another game-winning field goal. Joe Burrow and the Cincy offense, it wasn't exactly what we expected out of them, the gung-ho offense, a lot of vertical threats. It wasn't like that. Joe Burrow didn't even throw a touchdown, and that really tells you all you need to know about this game. But this game, the loss, the Titans loss of the first seed in the AFC, is on Ryan Tannehill. 3 interceptions, he was awful. Derrick Henry being back was supposed to lighten the burden that Tannehill was supposed to have throughout the game. But when Derrick Henry has 62 yards on 3 yards per carry, that kind of tells you that it's not working. And then you have Dante Foreman, who has 66 yards on 4 carries, and yet Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff decides to keep him in the game, decides to keep Derrick Henry in the game. Why? Tennessee was hyped up all year for still clinching the 1 seed without its best player, but that player did not perform despite having no limitations in this game, despite coming across like he was 100%, and really that is what the game came down to. Ryan Tannehill's QBR is 32 points lower without Derrick Henry on the field. And honestly, it feels like Henry wasn't even on the field because that's the way Ryan Tannehill played. 3 picks, another bad spell for the Titans, and the Bengals are moving on to the AFC Championship. And it's time for today's final word. And today, I'm here to tell you that the NFL is the greatest entity in sports. Not the NBA, not the NHL, not the MLB, not soccer, whatever you want to say, it doesn't match the NFL. This weekend was one of, if not the best weekend in sports history by any Big Four American league in my lifetime. Every game came down to the final play. Every game was a thriller. And just when you thought Rams-Bucs would be the game of the year, Mahomes and Allen said, "Hold my beer," and provided us a game of a lifetime. Bottom line is the money that the NFL generates is insane, and this is exactly why. You live for moments like this. And as a sports fan, and if next week is even half of as great as what this past weekend was, boy, oh boy. It's crazy. But that'll do it for Yao on Sports. I'll see you guys on the next one.